So, watching hockey last night, Pittsburgh's up 5-2. And Niemi's in net. And I said, well, they're ahead by 3, but Niemi's in net, so this will still get interesting. And then it did. And I was at my friend's house when we were watching hockey, and I was right on that one. And then we turned over to the Toronto. We had turned over to the Toronto game earlier, and Toronto had scored a goal that I didn't think looked very good. And I said, well, who's in net? Is Fucali in net? And Kimber's like, well, yeah, they just called him up. I said, yeah, maybe that's Fucali. Oh, that's Carey Price. Oh, wow. So, goaltending is not great in the preseason. Johnson in Buffalo last night certainly didn't do himself any favors, but in the midst of all this, teams are still making moves for their rosters. So we look at who's on waivers today, and there's a bunch of guys that, you know, are just basically fringe guys. Andrew Hammond is there for the Senators, meaning while Condon didn't play fantastic last night either, he's still the backup. Matt Pumpel's on there for the Rangers, so you know, as much as you pull for these kids to overcome their slow start in the NHL, sometimes they just don't get past it. Tom Sestito's there for Pittsburgh because, of course, he's Tom Sestito. Stefan Matteau cleared waivers for Vegas because, of course, he did. Svedberg cleared waivers for Minnesota. Landon Ferraro clears waivers as well. Emerson Edom clears waivers. All these kids, you know. Bo Bennett cleared waivers. Bo Bennett, you look back not that long ago, and, you know, it would be unthinkable that Ty Ratty's another one, clears waivers. It would be unthinkable these guys would actually clear a waiver wire. It just goes to show how quickly things can fall apart. And Jared Cowan was released yesterday by Colorado. Who else is in here? It's all placed on waivers, cleared waivers, placed on waivers. Yeah, so anybody who's placed on waivers, they're sending them down. Holy crap, that's a lot of names. But most of them aren't anybody of major import. Let's go through the TSN list. Joseph Cramarosa is released from his tryout by Calgary, so that's the end for him. There's Cowan being released by Colorado. LeBate being sent down by the Canucks may surprise some people. Boucher clears waivers and gets sent to the minors by the Vancouver Canucks. Lokchinov gets released by the Kings, so I guess he's free to play in the KHL or wherever he chooses to. Just won't be in the NHL. TJ Hensick sent down. Zatkov sent down. So today's prospect could be tomorrow's just kind of forgotten guy. That's kind of what happens. John Mitchell released by Columbus. Brady Austin released by Columbus. Kind of surprised at both, but I'm guessing that Austin will sign an American Hockey League contract. A lot of these guys, when they get released because the team's like, all right, well, we're not going to sign you. But then their American League affiliate will sign them. So they just get a one-way contract in the minors. They don't have an NHL contract. The thing that surprises me, too, is Bo Bennett gets waived and sent to the minors even while St. Louis has all these injury problems. That doesn't bode well for Bennett's career from here. R.J. Umberger released by Dallas, and I'm honestly, I'm going to be completely honest here. I'm happy about that. Umberger was not a guy that when he played I was a fan of, and I know he scored goals at certain times and points, but he always seemed to me like he was not a team guy. He always seemed like a guy that started a lot of trouble. I know he and Kessler had problems with each other. That's why Umberger never played in Vancouver. That was always the rumor. He wouldn't play with Kessler. Kessler wouldn't play with him. I remember learning as a kid that an alcoholic can always spot another alcoholic a mile away. And I always got the feeling with Kessler and Umberger that they were both pricks. And for that reason, that one could spot the other and go, he's a prick. How do you know? Because I'm a prick. He's prick too. You can't have two of us on one team. No, I'm the team prick. Get him out of here. I will not be in his locker room. Brian Flynn sent to the minors. Wotherspoon sent to the minors. Wasn't that long ago when Wotherspoon was considered a relatively decent prospect. Poirier sent to the minors. Shinkarik. What's with Calgary's young kids? Clearing waivers and getting sent down. Jeff Tambellini retires, which doesn't get any real attention, but I like Jeff Tambellini. I always did. I always liked him. The Canucks had a good record when he was in the lineup. I didn't think he hurt them, but, you know, oh well. Dennis Cholowski gets sent to Prince George. So Prince George has a really damn good defenseman there. I knew Detroit wouldn't keep him around because why are you going to keep a kid around in this rebuild? Send him to the minors. Same thing that Vegas is doing in an expansion year. Same thing I think the Canucks are going to do as well. If you're in a rebuild, just let the kids play in the minors. Let them keep their confidence up rather than stick them in a situation where it's just going to be ugly. And I get asked a lot about rookies and which rookies are going to make it. Last night's the first preseason hockey other than the game I went to that I've actually sat down and really kind of watched. And we were going between games, so we missed a lot of stuff. But we saw a lot of goals. And I will say this, I don't think I saw a goalie other than McElhinney that was playing well. And McElhinney kind of needs to, because he's trying to prove himself as a backup and have Toronto have some faith in him, because they're ready to ride Anderson for 65, 70 games this year if they need to. So McElhinney needs a good preseason to show them I'm a good backup. Give me 25, 30 games, not 15 to 20. And, you know, it just, to me, when I look at some of these goals, you can almost feel that the goalie isn't making 100% of the effort. So when people talk to me about, hey, did you see this guy's scoring in the preseason? Part of me says, yeah, but it's easier to score in the preseason than it is to score in the regular season. So they may qualify, they may make the team, everything may look great, and then as soon as the regular season starts and those goalies realize that the goals matter, suddenly those goals are a lot less easy to come by. Those goals become treasured because those 4-3, 5-4 scores you're seeing now become the 3-2 and 2-1. And it's usually the rookie players who will struggle first and for the longest. And if they're young enough, they may only get that 9-game trial, and then they get sent back to junior. So I try not to pay too much attention. It's sort of like Tyler Wong getting sent down by Vegas, which may surprise people after he had the hat trick against Vancouver. I was more impressed with Cody Glass in that game than Tyler Wong. I know Wong had the 3 goals, but I was like, does he touch the puck when he's not scoring? Because I didn't really notice him a whole lot during the rest of the game. Good young player, sure. I think he'll get called up by Vegas as one of their first call-ups. But I thought Glass was the better player. So sometimes in a preseason game, you can get caught up in the goals and the assists and not all of the other stuff going on. And coaches are looking at the entire game. Because if you look at goal scoring preseason-wise, you're going to put together a team that's probably going to be really bad. Jordan Subban's a good example for the Canucks, too, where he scores that beautiful goal, but there were at least 2 or 3 times during that game where I'm like, why is Jordan Subban at this end of the rink? He's a defenseman. Why is he down here? And then I would watch Vegas get a 2-on-1 the other way. And it was like, okay, so Subban can't play defense. That's the end of that then. And that happens where you'll see a defenseman get a lot of points or a player get a lot of points, and he's still losing ice time. This is why I always stay away from when people look at advanced stats and they say, oh, this guy per 60 minutes has got a lot of points. He just doesn't get ice time, and I'm thinking, so he can't play defense. So he's a liability then. That's how I view it. Is so if they give him extra ice time, they're going to lose more games because he probably is a liability defensively. So they watch when he goes on the ice, who he's on the ice against. They give him starts in whichever zone. They're really careful about where they play him and when. So he's not a great defensive player, and if he got more ice time, he's not going to score a lot more points. He's going to cause a lot more goals at the other end. So that's one of the reasons why I take the advanced stats, some of that stuff with a grain of salt, because goals and points per 60 minutes, if a guy's really high because he's not getting much ice time, there may be a reason, and it may be something that the stats numbers don't tell you, but their coach certainly could. I don't have access to coaches to ask them those questions. I certainly wish I did. I certainly hope at some point in time, someday, somehow, somewhere, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, I can. Until then, I'm in here talking to you guys. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, and thank you so much for being out there. It makes it so much easier to be in here. I'll talk to you again soon.